What is up, guys, and welcome to another edition of the Market Marauder Show. Be the market one trade at a time. All right, in today's episode, I'm going to be going over some of the market movers. So it's going to be a very interesting week that we have ahead of us. Last week was definitely a very interesting week. This week we have some earnings that are coming up, but there are also some stocks with some very important news that I'm going to be shedding light on in this episode. So the first one we have on here is ticker sign OXY, which is Occidental Petroleum. Why this one is so interesting is that Warren Buffett, one of the most popular investors himself, has definitely taken an interest into Occidental Petroleum. He just got permission to buy 50% of the company, which is an oil giant company with Berkshire Hathaway. So we got the approval to buy 50% of Occidental Petroleum, and this was approved on July 11th by the Federal Energy Regulation Commission to buy more of the oil company's common stock in secondary market transaction. And so I think it's very important to look at this play and a lot of things that the large investors and hedge funds are doing because it can definitely help you as small retail traders to determine what plays out there are being made. And so OXY, Occidental Petroleum, is a very interesting company. One reason why it's so interesting is because they have carbon capture, which is basically capturing carbon emissions. And that's something that a lot of oil companies are going to be starting to get into. We have already seen the growth of EVs as we get closer to 2030. And so you see the ramp up of GM for American companies, Tesla, which is still a really great company. You've seen Ford start to come out with some electric vehicles themselves. So a lot of companies are starting to ramp up their EV companies to try to cut back on emissions. And then for oil companies, you'll probably start to see ExxonMobil and some of the other oil companies jump into the carbon capture. OXY, to my knowledge, is one of the biggest companies that's gotten into carbon capture, but there are a lot of tax benefits that can come with carbon capture. So I think it's interesting to look at OXY. Next, we have GCT, which is Giga Cloud Technology. They had an IPO last week. Definitely a very interesting company overall. As far as IPOs are concerned, it came out around $17 when it first started, and then kind of shot up to end the week or in the day at around 40-something dollars. I'm going to be going over that one later on with the charts, but definitely a very interesting company to look at. As far as IPOs are concerned, there are a lot of big IPO companies that have been out in the past. Some of them shoot up and then immediately go down, kind of a pump and dump, and then they go over gradually over time. But this one kind of seemed to stay up even after it opened up. So definitely going to be interesting and going to have a lot of volume with that one as the market opens up. Next, we have Tesla. Tesla's always in the news with something going on. Definitely going to be looking at some Tesla news as the market starts to shape up. They are in a little bit of a bearish downward trend. They did fall down significantly. As far as Tesla's concerned, the stock moves, can have drastic moves of like hundreds of dollars in a day. So it kind of fell probably around $20 to $30 range in the past week. So I don't think that's too dramatic as far as how fast Tesla can move based off just one article, one news, or something that Elon Musk is doing, a tweet. Anything can really help move the stock. To me, it's one of the most volatile plays that is out there. Next, we have Bed Bath & Beyond, which is something I think everyone should be looking at. It ran up significantly last week, and so a lot of people were able to take advantage of that, but then it fell back down as one of the large investors of Bed Bath & Beyond actually sold off a lot of his shares. So we'll be going over that price-wise later on in the episode as well. So jumping into earnings, so we have some earnings to watch for this week. We have Nvidia, which is going to be having the earnings on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, we have Salesforce. So Nvidia is ticker sign NVDA. Salesforce is ticker sign CRM. And then on Monday, we have Zoom, ticker sign ZM. We also have, and lastly, we have on Wednesday as well, we have Snowflake, which is ticker sign SNOW. And then on Thursday, we have Peloton, ticker sign PTON. So Peloton's definitely going to be an interesting one, especially with the market kind of going down and the company struggling as much as they have with trying to get sales of their bikes out, changing management. There have been a lot of movement that's gone on with Peloton in general. Salesforce is definitely one to look for as well. It's very interesting. A lot of companies use Salesforce, so it's definitely a company to look at. You have Snowflake, which is also going to be another company to look at in the as they continue to ramp up in the cybersecurity space. You have Nvidia, which is one that Nancy Pelosi herself actually was invested in. But as the semiconductor conversation continues to come up, Nvidia is definitely going to be one to look at. Now, they did benefit from a lot of people getting into crypto mining. Crypto mining has kind of died down a little bit as far as retail traders is concerned. But as far as institutions, there's still a lot of companies that do crypto trading. Also, you have to bear in mind that Ethereum is moving September 15th from proof of work to proof of stake. So that may be something to look at. As far as NVIDIA is concerned, that may actually affect the price of NVIDIA. So there are a lot of other external factors to look at when going into NVIDIA. Like the crypto aspect, as well as large bills and stuff being passed that can help Nvidia. Lastly, you have Zoom. Zoom to me is kind of the wild card here, which is trading on the ticker sign ZM. But Zoom, there are a lot of people who actually still use Zoom and may think Zoom is going to be one that's going to be here for a while. They definitely helped a lot of companies kind of ramp up during the pandemic. A lot of people still use Zoom, from content creators to companies. And then the other one is Microsoft Teams. So it's either Zoom or Microsoft Teams that I've seen majority of people use, depending on where you work or what avenue you use. But definitely a very interesting stock to look at overall. So hopefully that information helped you all out. Let's jump into some of the charts and see what's going on with these plays and what kind of levels that I'm going to be looking at for this week, so that you all can potentially be taking advantage of these. Bear in mind, this is not where you end your due diligence. Just make sure that you do some more due diligence at the end of the week. All the earnings plays are going to be very volatile, especially some of the ones like OXY. OXY is also very volatile, especially considering 50% of it is going to be bought by Berkshire Hathaway. That's going to be a large contribution of it. And so if you're familiar with like any low float stocks or any stocks in general, having someone buy such a large amount of stocks in general is not really leaving many out there for other institutions or other people to trade. And for a person like Warren Buffett to be buying such a large portion of a stock, or having such a large position of a stock, 50%, he's not the only one that has the money or capital to do so. There are other large institutions that really just follow where Warren Buffett is putting money. So maybe something to look at for a potential options trade, or just something to potentially day trade or get benefit from in that moment. So definitely momentum from where the whales put their money is something to look at in every single market. So let's jump to the charts. All right, so let's talk about OXY, Occidental Petroleum. So looking at the chart, we can see they hit a high last week of $72.49. If we're looking at this chart, we can see that VWAP is still pretty low on them overall. We can see their moving average 10 for the week is around $71.20. Moving average 20 is around $70.97. And the moving average 50 is around $70.94. So jumping into where they ended in the week, they ended at $71.29. Overall, I think this is still a bullish play for this coming week. Going to be looking at 72.49 as a level, resistance level. Definitely going to potentially surpass that, especially considering the fact that Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway will be buying 50% of the company. I suspect it's probably going to go way past the 72.49 level. But nonetheless, definitely going to be looking to see where it ends up at the end of the week. But I think overall, OXY, Occidental Petroleum, is going to be a good play, especially for the long term as well, with the Inflation Reduction Act and their carbon capture program that they have for Occidental Petroleum. They could definitely benefit from some tax benefits from the carbon capture program that they currently have. Next, let's talk about Giga Cloud Technology. Now, their IPO was last week. It definitely shot up significantly, went all the way up to $60. We don't really have, that good of a metric for the 50, moving average 50, 20, and 10. But the VWAP was down around 44.95, and it shot up significantly, ending at $48.01. Next week, going to be looking to see if it can retest the $60 level. Now, IPOs are very volatile. They do shoot up significantly, when they first come out. It started around this $15.11 level, and then shot all the way up to $60 being the high for the day that it was open, and then shooting down to 48.01. It had a bottom around $42, so that's going to be the low. The range that I'm going to be looking at for GCT or Giga Cloud Technology is going to be between $42 and $60. So that's going to be the range that I'm going to be looking at for. If it hits $42 as the market opens, I'm going to see if it can bounce off of that level and jump back up to then test the 48.01. If it starts to go up from the 48.01, a next level to look at is going to be around 54.49 or 54 even. If it surpasses that resistance level, then going to be looking at $60 even. So it can go one of two ways when the market opens. It is a new play, so there may be some people who didn't get to jump into this one. It IPO'd later, like towards the end of the week. I think it was last Thursday it IPO'd or last Friday it IPO'd. So very fresh stock out there in the market. It is a Chinese-based company, so very volatile from that perspective, but definitely going to have a lot of volume around this one as people try to trade this new play. Next, let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla had a pretty interesting week last week. It was very volatile, kind of all over the place. So we see on the 19th they were around $912.30, fell all the way down to a low last week of $877.53. Then jump back up to a high of $892.10. Overall, I would say they're still bullish, jumping from this 877.53 level on the 19th, jumping all the way up to end the week. At around $89 even, $890 even. So definitely gonna be looking to see if they can retest 892.10. But then what we really want is to see if we can get back up to this 912 or 919.50 level that it began the week at. There are a lot of news coming out for Tesla overall. There's a lot of things they're doing. I saw an article about Taiwan potentially, not Taiwan. It was either Taiwan or Vietnam trying to get um, no, it was Indonesia. Indonesia trying to get Tesla to build a factory in their country. So Indonesia, if they had a gigafactory, would definitely help their entire economy. But I think it's pretty interesting to have countries be asking a company if they will come and make vehicles in their country. So just shows you how popular Tesla is. Overall, they do have a Gigafactory Berlin, they have Gigafactory China, they have a factory in Texas. So and their headquarters or their headquarters was in California. I don't know if they still have their offices in California, but they did move to Texas. So going to be looking to see how that performs. New battery technology is coming out for Tesla as well, so that's also going to be very interesting. A lot of different catalysts coming out for Tesla as a whole. They also could take advantage of, seeing a lot of people having getting into EVs. That's one thing. There's a new tax credit out for new EV owners, so that's something as well that people can be benefiting from. But overall, I think Tesla could have another bullish potential. Everyone that I've seen that have gone against Tesla as far as making a bear case for it have just basically been destroyed. Um, Looking at Tesla, they have so many different things going on, but the stock is so volatile. The volatility is the thing that a lot of people can't really predict. Even I've seen, some people hedge fund wise will say, "Hey, the stock's going down," but then the next day it shoots back up. So overall, the volatility. There's so many people following it. Their entire YouTube channel is dedicated to Tesla. That's the only stock that they follow, the only company they report. So it kind of has a cult following itself, as well as their CEO Elon Musk has his own cult following. So I think it's kind of a win-win case for this stock. I think it's going to be bullish potential for this one. I think this was a low. A lot of people entered this point at 877.53, and they'll continue to go up as more news comes out. Next, we have BBBY, which is Bed Bath & Beyond. Started off around 1890. So on the 18th, it was around $18.90. Fell all the way down to $10.26. Down below the VWAP. So the VWAP's around $11.18. That's going to be a resistance level that I'm going to be looking at for next week. fell to 1103. If it can break through in pre-market trading above this 1118, I think it may have potential to continue to run up. Now, a lot of people, sold out. The levels I'm gonna be looking for is if in the morning when it opens, it jumps above this $11.18 level, and then breaks through that level and goes all the way up to $12.55. That's going to be an amazing level to look at. Definitely going to be looking to see volume-wise on the volume scanners to see how many people are jumping into this play and taking advantage of it potentially going back up. After this large fall off. So we kind of have like the middle of a dead cat bounce from this 1026 jumping up to the current levels of 1103 where it's at. The moving average 50 is at $10.61, and the moving average 20 is at $10.83. So those are two levels to look for as well. If it does reverse and start to go back down, those are going to be two resistance levels, 1083 and a 1061. Next, we have Nvidia, which is going to be giving their earnings next week. It's definitely something to look at as well. They are on a pretty bit of a low level, hitting a low of 177.70, but ending the week at 178.49, well below the moving average 50 and the moving average 20. Moving average 20 is at 178.76. Moving average 50 is at 178.86. 179.42 is a level of a high, kind of a peak level. That's going to be something to look for to go back up before or during the earnings. And going to be looking to see how some of the numbers are coming out for Nvidia. Another level, if it surpasses this 179.96, which is the VWAP, going to be looking to see if it can hit 188.18. 188.18 is going to be a next level that I'm be looking at for Nvidia. Overall, I think their numbers shall be good. Reasonable. It did start going down because they came out with like a preview of what was going on, and they were saying their gaming numbers had went down, and then also crypto mining is going down. So their gaming numbers is kind of what really hit the market extremely hard and was extremely difficult for the company. And so that's something that a lot of people were kind of hoping for as far as monetary value was concerned to see if it can jump back up, but it didn't perform as well as it did. So when the earnings actually come out, definitely going to be looking to see how they perform. Next, we have Zoom. Zoom, like I said again, was a wild card, hitting a low of 99.13 and a high of 115. Going to be looking to see how they perform. 104.12 is kind of a high peak level, so I'm going to say between 98.81 and 104.12 is definitely in a good range to look at for the company overall. Lots of fluctuation going on with this one. They did end at 99.50 and then went down 13 cents after hours, which is not too bad. 99.37 is where they ended. Going to be looking to see first if there's some momentum with this one, if they could break through 99.81 and then break through 115. So those are going to be two key levels looking for in the pre-market when the market opens for Zoom. Like I said, they do have their earnings on Monday, so that's going to be something, a crucial one to look at as well. I think overall Zoom's going to do well financially. I think that they've kind of been like an underdog in my personal opinion. Just because the pandemic is kind of under wraps doesn't mean people stop using Zoom. I think Zoom and Microsoft Teams, like I said earlier, are still really good plays as far as the way or the new normal that people have experienced with communicating. A lot of businesses use them, and a lot of entrepreneurs use them. Just people in general use them for meetings, and it's become kind of a new way of life. Next, we have Salesforce, ticker sign CRM. They are on a bullish upward trend. From a low of 181.85, jumping up to 184.04, ending the week at 183.77. So they're well above their moving average, well above the VWAP and the moving average 20 and moving average 50. So moving average 50 is 183.56, VWAP is at 183.03, and the moving average 20 is at 183.71. So 183.77, definitely above that. Going to be looking to see if they can test this 183.80, which is their moving average 10. If they can go through and break through that level, going to be looking at 184.04 as the next level. And then going to be looking at a peak, which seems that they've had a peak at 188.56. That's going to be the next key level going to be looking at. So definitely be looking at Salesforce. I think a lot of good things are coming from there. I think their earnings is going to be good as well. But will it meet market expectations or beat market expectations, or will it be below? That's yet to be seen. Peloton is definitely one that I think a couple people are going to be looking at overall. I don't think people are really expecting much to come out of Peloton. I think people think Peloton is basically done. They have a lot of corporate things to kind of figure out with their product and what they're doing. $14.32 was their high that they had, and so they fell to a low of 12.29, no, of 11.36. Excuse me, 11.36, and so they ended at 11.71. 12.72 is going to be a key level that I'm going to be looking at for Peloton as we continue to shape up in this market. Going to be looking to see if it can hit this level and what it'll do overall. But overall, I think Peloton may have some positive news because there's not really much that the market is expecting for Peloton. So I think any good news, even though it may be small, minute good news, will be good news for the company in general. And lastly, we have Snow, ticker sign SNOW, for Snowflake. They hit a low of 151.63. I think overall, they have bullish potential as well, hitting a high of 154.53. That's going to be the level that I'm looking at for the pre-market as they get closer to their earnings. They're going to be looking at a level of 162.70. I think overall the sentiment for Snowflake may be bullish overall, even though it did fall $1.14 in the after hours to end at 152.80. This level is kind of a convergence of the moving average 50, 20, and 10. They're all kind of at the same level, so I think it's going to be interesting as this is setting up to be a resistance. I think it may bounce off of this since this is kind of the convergence of three different moving averages. May bounce off this level and jump back up to hit this 154.53. And if it does go back up to 154.53, they're going to be looking at 162.70. So hopefully that information helped you all to make a more informed decision. Those are going to be plays that I'm looking at this week. Going to be a very interesting week. A lot of plays out there in the market. Hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.